Hello and welcome to another segment of the Lincoln Commission on Human Rights show. My name is Francisca Beltran. I'm a community outreach coordinator for the city of Lincoln. And today we have a wonderful show. We have actually our guest, Karen Bell-Dancy from the YWCA. Thank you for being here, Karen.
Thank you. I'm glad to be here.
Thank you so much for taking the time on this very hot day. It is awesome to have you here and to learn more about what the Y is doing. So can you please introduce yourself to our community and talk a little bit about what you do?
Okay. I am Karen Bell-Dancy, and I have been the executive director of the YWCA Lincoln for the better part of 8.5 years. I came to the Y as a board member the previous May and then took the executive director role in 2016. As you know, the focus of the YWCA, our mission is the elimination of racism and the empowerment of women and girls. We've lived that mission here in the Lincoln metro area for almost 140 years. And over the decades, we have morphed in our mission impact, if you will, from women's suffrage, fighting for women's rights to vote, women's rights to work, have checking accounts, education, civil rights movements, all the critical movements in the history of our country, YWCA has been a part of. Where we are today, we live our mission through our advocacy work as well as support for families and youth development.
Wow, that is a lot. But it's exciting to know that the Y is still available, that is still here in Lincoln. And it's wonderful to know that as a board member, you had already known probably how the organization was doing, and then to be able to be in that position. What does that mean to you to be as a director for the Y and then working with the community?
It means a lot to me because the mission that we have, which is a huge mission, how do you wrap your mind or wrap your arms around the elimination of racism?
Yes.
But for us, it means that I'm heavily involved in policy work, such as testifying during the legislature, when the unicameral is in session, trying to affect policy that supports respectability and rights for all individual citizens in our community.
That sounds great. Can you describe a little bit about some of the programs? I heard you list quite a few of them, but a little bit of more background on what some of those programs are and how can our community help with some of those programs?
Yes, we have a lot of programs on our list, and we kind of divide them into two houses, if you will. We have the family and community engagement, and up under that umbrella we have our wholesome hygiene program that provides hygienic products for families that can come in 3 times a year and they receive bags on those basic hygiene materials that they need. Through that program, we also operate our workforce development area, so it could be financial literacy, it could be career coaching, job interviewing support, and other items that help them become gainfully employed. We also operate the Job Outfitter still, which has been a staple in the community for decades, and that gives clients the opportunity to get vouchers, and they can use those vouchers at Goodyear to get clothing. Under the umbrella of youth development, we have a respite program that supports children that are on the spectrum. So those parents can deliver them to a structured environment twice a month on Friday evenings, and then the parents have the opportunity to take a break and rejuvenate. Our biggest youth development program is our STEM initiative, Smart Girls, and that's through a collaboration with Lincoln Public Schools. And through the CLCs, girls are able to participate in STEM projects and learn more about STEM careers and meet women who are already engaged in the STEM fields. We also have a mentoring program that helps young ladies make decisions as they are sometimes faced with adulting issues and decisions while they are still in school. Our Girls Circle is an initiative that we've been operating since 2016, and that helps girls to work toward conflict resolution, self-respectability, self-esteem, and we target girls that are in the middle schools for that initiative, and they meet throughout the school day at different middle schools. We have various other programs that work toward in support of youth that are facing diversion and those families and helping them with diversion decisions. And so the list continues, but we try to affect families at all levels. So either if the parents are needing assistance to become more stabilized economically, it could be through housing type of support, helping them to connect with other agencies in the area, if it's employment, and just other ways that we can continue to support and do that community outreach.
Wow, that is amazing. To hear that the Y still has, especially the Job Outfitters program, is amazing. One of the things that in the past people or individuals who had like suits and dresses for that, can that still be donated to the Y, or does that go somewhere else? Or
we recommend that they take that to one of the local thrift stores, and that's because during the pandemic, that became a situation where it was just not a good practice, no longer for us, and then the storage issues as well. So we do encourage individuals that have that type of clothing to go ahead and donate to the individual thrift stores, especially the Goodwill, because then those clients will still come into our operation to get those vouchers, and then they can take it to the store and get the items they need for a job interview per se.
that makes sense because storage is an issue for several nonprofit organizations. So to be able to work in partner with Goodwill is awesome to hear. About the respite program, can you talk a little bit more about as far as like the hour goes and what exactly happens when someone drops off, you know, if they have a child and they need that time to kind of recuperate?
Exactly, yes. So twice a month on a Friday evening, those children are engaged in structured environments. And what's so unique about that program is that these are typically kids that may not have a lot of interaction with other kids, and this is an environment that they feel really comfortable in. We have a lot of staff that supports that program as well as volunteers, a lot of college level volunteers. Parents can go online and complete the registration form prior to going. And the other advantage of that program is that if one child in the family is on the spectrum or has a disability, it could be physical disability as well, then all the children in the family up to age of 10 are eligible to come. And so we've had a lot of parents that say this program is one of the greatest support mechanisms that they have because it gives them the opportunity to maybe just go have a date, maybe enjoy a movie. We've even had parents that just went and sat out in the car for those hours to just listen to some quiet music.
Wow. That is very much needed, and it's awesome to know that it's still available for anybody who needs that. If someone wanted to go and drop off their child, do they need to call ahead of time, register ahead of time?
They do, because completing that registration allows us to get more information about the individual child needs and if there are any restrictions in regards to diet or, you know, if they have any anxiety and things like that, so we know to prepare for that. So if they go online through our website, www.ywcalincoln.org, and visit the programs and click on Take a Break, which we call TAB, because it's that opportunity for that parent to take a break. They can complete the registration, and then they will be eligible. There's no cost for families to participate. The children are fed while they're there during that time period, and they're very well taken care of.
That is great. That is wonderful. That's always been a program that I see, and it's like, where else does anybody offer that time where parents or a caretaker can just take some downtime?
Exactly.
Especially like if it's just going to the car and listening to the music, like you said, because there's so much commotion during that time. That is great. Can you tell me a little bit about, or tell our community members about the type of activities that the Y does for civil rights, because you mentioned that.
Yes.
And yeah, what kind of activities do you have for that?
Yeah. Well, we do, as I said, we do a lot of advocacy work. I actually have a committee on the board that works with me on that. And well, we have two. We have our social justice committee, and then we also have our mission and advocacy committee. So when the unicameral is in session, this committee and myself, we go through all of the bills that are being proposed, which this last unicameral, there were almost 1,000 pieces of legislation that we needed to filter through. And we look for those that either we can support or we hope to redirect. And we want to make the community aware of the proposed legislation and how it will affect them. And so we do a lot of that work. It could be myself testifying in person. It could be a staff member, perhaps a board member adding testimony. It could be helping a citizen to prepare their testimony. And now that the unicameral allow online comments, we do some comments on legislation as well. Our real goal is that not only informing the community about proposed legislation, but also addressing our lawmakers in some of the things that affect the community members and opening their eyes to how the proposed legislation would affect their constituents. We also have what we call our Center for Social Justice, and that is our DEI training platform. And so I've been working with the Government Alliance for Racial Equity, which has members from the county and the city employees or a part of, and we are now in our second cohort of training these employees over a year-long agenda, and just helping toward racial equity as it pertains to employment practices, hiring practices, building teams, and working toward goals and outcomes, but helping not only the city and county organizations, but other private and civic organizations to make sure that they consider things through an equity lens as they try to plan for their own organizational structure.
Now, that sounds great. Because then it gives everybody on the government level an opportunity to see things from a different lens.
Yes.
And so that is awesome. How did that program come about, the GARE program?
Well, we were already working with the Department of Human Services and working with the county and the city on different projects, especially when it comes to racial and ethnic disparities in regards to youth and youth development. So several of our programs are funded through city and county funds, and we just started working with the training platform. I've been doing diversity training for decades, and so we were asked to do that for different organizations. And when the county and the city decided that they wanted to do some more formalized training around it, they approached us and asked us would we be interested.
Wow. Well, I look forward to hopefully go through GARE one day.
Oh, wonderful.
Sooner than later. That sounds awesome. If the community was looking to help, how can the community help the Y? And I know that financially, I mean, any nonprofit always needs money, right?
Right.
So if anybody out there has money, the Y needs money. But aside from that, how else can the community help and be supportive of your mission and the programs that you have?
I'm so glad you asked that question. The community can always be involved as volunteers. They can volunteer with any of our programs. We do ask them to complete an application. If they go online again to our website, there is a link on the top navigation. How can I get involved? So they can be involved as a volunteer. We have part-time staffing opportunities for all the various programs, but anytime that we do events, we look for volunteers to help with different events, and of course with the giving, the donations, and they can target donations for different parts of the program and or the overall operation of the agency.
Is there an age limit? Like, do they need to be at the age of 21, or does it
Not
matter?
necessarily. We've actually had high school students that needed their civic engagement and their community volunteer hours. We have worked with them, and you know, we do training. So whoever would come to support our organization in a volunteer way and they want to get the hands-on experience, they would go through a training that would allow them to do that. So it could be, you know, high school students. We've also had high school students that come in and maybe they help pack the distribution bags for the wholesome hygiene items.
Absolutely.
We've had, when we have different events, such as our trunk or treat, that we've started as an annual event, and this last year we served over 400 individuals in the trunk or treat. They can come and they can help pass out the items. Not only do we do candy with that event, but we did coats and we did other kinds of things, food distribution that the parents and families could use. So it's a wealth of opportunities that one could become involved in.
That sounds great. It's exciting to know that the Y is so active in our community.
Thank
I
you.
think a lot of people don't realize how active
Yes.
the Y is. The YWCA is in our community. Where is the Y located now?
Well, our offices are actually located in the Briar Park Plaza, which is the corner of 48th and O'Chaney, so 5631 South 48th Street. We do make sure that programming is held where it's more convenient to our clientele. So, for example, the youth development programs, most of them are held at LPS schools or community centers. They could be based in a church or Cedars or different other organizations. And then same thing with our Take a Break and all of those other programs. So we try to make sure that programming is where the clientele are.
Wow.
So we make it convenient, but for the wholesome hygiene, clients would come to our office to pick up their bags.
Their bags. What are your office hours? That's the last thing.
Okay. Our office hours, we still kind of do some of the pandemic type hours, but typically 9 to 4. I would just encourage anyone to go online and connect. They can do it through our general mailbox to info@ywcalincoln.org and or call the office. And they will be directed to the right staff person to assist them.
That is so great. Like, this really opens my eyes to see what you're currently doing and to know where you're located. Because I was under the impression you were located somewhere else. So this is awesome to let the community know where you're located. Thank you so much, Karen, for taking the time to be
I
here.
appreciate that.
I think it's important for our community to know that the Y is very much active.
Yes.
And that you do need some help.
We do.
You know, I think we all need help, but no, the Y, it's important that the Y continues to receive that help and support for our community. So I appreciate so much being here today and sharing the information that maybe a lot of our community members really don't know about the Y, and that you're still continuing that work, which is very important, especially for our young women.
Exactly.
So,
yes.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
I appreciate you being here today. And with that, we will sign off. The information at the end of this show will be there where the Y is located and the website. So remember with that we all have rights.